So nothing less than himself as this Daedalus. Like, he maybe could have come across like a little bit of arrogant, but he wasn't. So he said when he was 22, I will write the novel that will change literature forever. And he did. He just did. He knew he could do it and he did it. So it wasn't arrogance, it was just self-awareness. So, in other words, this environment that was universal and intimate at the same time pushed him beyond any limits. And he created his eternal character. Very well, and then with that character, he kept creating with Ulysses. Ulysses is his masterpiece, the one that even here I was told you study in high school, but not just here, everywhere in the English language. And this is not the first edition, because the first edition is very expensive, the one in light blue. This is one good edition anyway, that you can find, that probably had. And, but how did it happen? That's the beauty of the story. That's what we're gonna see. He really wanted to write, and he did. But then, of course, for a writer, what is the next challenge? I've got this book, let's say. I've got Dubliners. You have to find a publisher, have you? And you have to find a publisher in English. He was in Italy, not an easy task. Huh? So to take off with this book, remember, take off these different, that's the grammar part, phrasal verbs. So to make this book take off in the English publishing board, he had to have the help of a friend. And in this case was Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound, I've got a photo of him, was an American writer, and he knew about Joyce because of another Irish writer, that is William Butler Yeats. I should have taken out the photo. I know I've got it somewhere. And so everything starts with a chain of friendship. There you go. But then I'm gonna lose the page. Doesn't matter. So this is Ezra Pound. This is a very rare photo of Ezra Pound on James Joyce's grave. This is James Joyce's grave in Zurich, and it's a lovely photo of their friendship that lasted over physical life. So Ezra Pound helped him to publish the first two books, Dubliners and A Portrait of an Artist, push him through and get him to start Ulysses. But what happened then with Ulysses is, let's say, a lot to do with Svevo. Okay, so this is the original publication in light blue, like the sea, like the Adriatic Sea. This is the Adriatic Sea itself. Can you see? Ulysses, are you familiar with Homer and Ulysses, the Greek version of it, the ancient Homer story? So Homer was a Greek writer, and this is like an epic novel. He wrote an epic book. He wrote about all the wars about the Greeks and the Turkish, and basically there was an Helena. I don't know if you ever heard about Helena of Troy. I don't like to mention it a lot because she created the war. So Helena of Troy apparently was the most beautiful woman in the ancient world, like in the Mediterranean, it would be. And she was married to a Greek king. But a young Turkish prince fell in love with her, and he basically kidnapped her, and this is how the war started. So they wanted to rescue Helena. And that war lasted for decades. It's a very famous story in the ancient world. And Homer was, of course, called to go. Well, Homer was the writer, but Ulysses, which is the hero of the book here, was called to go and help the Greeks. He was Greek. He was called to help the Greeks in Turkey to rescue this queen called Helena. Very well, end up being in the Mediterranean, so not just around Greece, all over the place for 20 years, because between battles and coming back home, this is, in few words, what the Odyssey of Ulysses was about. So there is a hero, Ulysses, There is his wife waiting for him at home 20 years. You know about the story, yeah. Penelope, thank you very much. So we've got Ulysses, which is the main male character. We've got, I'm really simplifying all of this, Penelope, who is knitting and waiting for him for 20 years very faithfully and rejecting everybody else that wants to marry her because of the rain. And there's Telemachus, which is the son. And in this novel, which is an epic novel because it's called Ulysses, but really is a comic book. So this is something that usually you don't get at school. They don't present it the way it should be. It's a comic, epic novel. So when you read it, you really laugh through it. There are the three main characters. So there is Leopold Bloom, which is the modern Ulysses, and he's a man in his 50s. He's married, and he's got a normal job, like an advertising, let's say, advocate. And he just runs through the day. So he doesn't travel for 20 years around all this difficult scenario of war and, well, with magic and a lot of that happen. No, it's just a normal, ordinary man walking through a day, 24 hours. So this is, I don't remember exactly how many pages, but I can tell you in a blink of an eye, to describe somebody's, so we got over 700 pages describing one day, 24 hours, with three main characters: Ulysses, which is Leopold Bloom, and then we will see who is Leopold Bloom a bit more. And then there is his counterpart, which is again Stefan Dedalus. Remember the same character from the previous book. Stefan Dedalus is much younger than him and is still a student and is like a paternal figure for him. And then there is, of course, our Penelope, which is Molly, waiting at home until late at night, when finally the main character will go back home. But the story doesn't go like the real epic one goes, completely a different way. So, don't want to spoil you the reading if you want to go through it, but it's just an ordinary day of an ordinary person. And everything that goes through his mind without any limit. Okay? Very well. So, let's keep all these, and here they are together. So, at that stage, we said that Joyce was interested since 1905 for a decade. We said that Svevo was born in 1861, remember, when Italy was reunited. So, at the time, he was already in his 50s, and this young writer, his English teacher, was in his 20s. So how they met? Well, they met because Svevo, who was a businessman, a very successful businessman in Trieste, because we said Trieste, a lot of exchanging of goods, a lot of shipping, a lot of insurance, bank money. He was a very successful businessman, and he needed to sell his